Shout out my boy CMac, BKLYN. Let's go, let's go. This is how we do it, kicking it with Charlie Mac. His bulldog Vicky, only thing he love more than his stack. It may be the Brooklyn way, but he spread it worldwide. This army boy from NYC got hella Irish pride. Catch him on YouTube doing precious metal reviews. Oh, we the silver degenerate performing an interview. You know we could take a walk up to the Brooklyn Bridge and back. Yeah, this is how we do it, kicking it with Charlie Mac. Yeah, this is how we do it, kicking it with Charlie Mac. We could hit the corner store just to grab ourselves a snack. You know that there's nothing better than just hanging with a friend, especially when you do it in BKLYN. And he a first responder, CMac here to say the day. Don't forget to spread that love, cause it's the Brooklyn way. It ain't just a slogan, homie, that right there's a fact. Cause this is how we do it, kicking it with Charlie Mac.
Hello, folks. Happy Sunday. Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there watching. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is actually streaming on multiple channels. This is on my personal page with my coin channel. This is on my work page as well. So thank you all for tuning in. Tonight's topic, it's going to be a really, really good one. I got a really good guest. We are talking about coin show safety and security. Really, really cool stuff. Very important topic, especially with everything going on in the world today. These channels, both the personal and the work channel, really dedicated to safety and security and awareness. I'm going to talk a lot about that today, being aware of your surroundings, whether it's for personal use, professional use. Very important that you stay aware. We got a bunch of people in there today. Good evening. We'll get to you folks as well. If you have questions, put them in the chat. We will bring them live. So a little intro for me, Charles McNamara. You can find me on LinkedIn. Been in this industry for about 20 years. It's crazy to think. Security, fire and life safety, training and education. And today, folks, got a good one for you. The topic of the day, coin show safety and security. All right, we're going to be talking a little bit about the East Coast stuff, but all the different coin shows that are going around the United States. We'll get a little bit into felonies and misdemeanors. We're not really going to jump too much into the legal jargon, but some very important things to know. We are also going to go over pre-event checklists that you need to know, post-event checklists that you need to know. We'll talk a little bit about traveling, getting to and from these shows. You should have a plan. Also, hotel security, checking in, going out for lunch, and things that you should be concerned with as well. Today, folks, once again, always trying to bring the best guests on with a lot of experience. So today we're talking to Chris, U.S. Army vet, coin shop owner in Long Island, New York. You got to make sure you check out his shop. If you are in the New York area, please make sure you go check out Chris, 146 Railroad Avenue, Sayerville, New York. Chris, good evening. How are you?
I'm doing great, Charlie. Thanks for having me on with you tonight.
I really, really appreciate it, man. When I saw this first news article, I'm going to show a couple of, news clips in a minute. I was like, you know what? This would be a really good topic for both pages. So I just want people to know a little bit about your shop, what you do, for work as well. And they can contact you at 631-870-4221. Folks, make sure you check out his shop. It's a cool hobby to get into. I was amazed, doing my homework, which I should as a good school teacher. There are a lot of resources that I was not aware of, and I'm pretty sure that you know a lot more, and the people watching know a lot more about this topic. But going through the resources, coinweek.com, I mean, literally has a whole network of like dealer to dealer chats about, thefts, robberies, missing items, things that are going around in the industry. So, Chris, tell a little bit about the people, tell about what you do for the people.
Well, I've been a coin dealer for nearly 30 years. I travel around the country and I attend all the major coin shows and coin auctions. And I'm often an exhibitor at these shows setting up, and we'll stay at these shows for one day for the one-day local shows, or I'll stay at these shows for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days for the bigger national and international shows.
That is awesome. How many shows have you been to in your lifetime?
Wow, that's a great question. I don't have a real answer, but I probably have done on average 20 coin shows a year for the last 28 years to 30 years. It's a lot of shows. I often joke around that I've never lived in California, but I spent over a year of my life there, 1 week at a time, doing the shows there. Yeah, I've traveled around quite a bit, extensively. And when I was younger, it was fun. But 4 or 5, 6 months living out of a suitcase, it gets old.
So, I've only been to a couple of coin shops in Brooklyn and in Manhattan. So, I'm kind of new to this space. I've done a lot of security work, and we look at it as soft targets, hard targets. What are we trying to protect? So, when I was putting some information together, I did a poll and a survey both on Facebook as well as Instagram. And just, going to talk a little statistics real quick, because one of the first questions that I asked was, do you feel safe at coin shows? And all of the people that participated said about 87% they felt safe at most of the shows. A couple of comments here and there that had come in. The second question was, feels like there's enough security at the show. I was crazy to see this. 79% said no, there's not enough protection at these shows. And we're going to get into what protection is there. And then the third question that I asked specifically was, do you feel safe after making a large purchase? And that, is kind of open to interpretation. Like, well, what's a large purchase? Over 1,000, over 5,000. For someone like me, it just might be a couple of $100, depending on what you pick up. So I was really intrigued by those numbers, as I did those polls. One of the things I always say, there are criminals who target coin collectors, hobbyists, and investors, hoping to find an easy target. And, I really appreciate you coming in, because you put a really good Instagram post up about tips and things people should be aware for. So folks, make sure you follow him on Instagram. That list, man, print that out. Like, that's the golden ticket in my book. So why don't you just kind of go over this video real quick, and then we're going to jump into some questions, folks. So while doing this, I'm going to show you the first video that came up that really got me going on this. And I know, Chris, you're probably going to know a little bit more details about this, the theft in Melville.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the amount? How did that happen?
It was about $500,000. Wow. 500,000 they got that guy for.
Jeez. And this was in Melville, New York, right? Not
in Melville. And the real answer is he got robbed because he let his guard down. He didn't keep his situational awareness up to where it should have been.
Absolutely. Got a bunch of people in. Looks like Gibby is saying hello, that I need to travel and get out to some shows. Albanian Eagle saying hello. DJ Aurora, Nika, hello, everybody. Everybody's saying hello, and that you are the man, Chris. Folks, we're going to watch a quick video, and then we're going to start getting into the questions. So if you got questions, post them. We'll have Chris answer them.
Tricked the owner of the Dalton stamp and coin and stole a box full of his rarest items. News Channel 9's Kelsey Bagwell joins us now to explain what makes their search easier. Kelsey.
Well, Josh, Latricia, Dalton Stamp and Coin has been in business for 30 years, and they've never been burglarized. Fortunately, they have surveillance cameras that captured crystal clear evidence of the thief. November 17th was like any other day at Dalton Stamp and Coin. The owner, Juan Lama, says he thought nothing of it when a man walked in asking to see specific coins. In this surveillance video provided by the store, the man who Lama thought was a customer had a box with nearly 80 coins in front of him. Lama says that's when the man asked to see more coins in a different case. Moments later, the man was ready to make his purchases.
He said, well, I must have left my wallet in the car. I'm going to go get it. I'll be right back. I didn't think anything unusual about that. And Within a few seconds after he walked out of the door, I noticed the box wasn't on the counter anymore.
The man fled with nearly $40,000 worth of rare coins in tow.
Violated, of course. That's the easiest way to describe it. You know, we work hard for this and try to, supply the best service to our customers. And then one person comes in and kind of puts a dark face to all of it.
Dalton police need your help identifying this man. Police say the suspect is the man you see in this video. They describe him as a black male with a shaved head. He's approximately 6 feet tall and 200 pounds. Lama says his business is his passion, and he hopes he'll have answers soon.
I hope we can find them and bring them to justice.
The Fort Oglethorpe Police Department is also investigating a similar case in which the suspect has the same description.
Suffolk Police tonight are giving us more details on the suspects that stole $500,000 in coins and gold from a vendor. Happened at this Melville coin show. Take a look at the woman in the security footage. Now, she's distracting a man who was asked to watch the victim's belongings, and then you see another man quickly grabbing the box and taking off. Police say the man and woman ran outside, got into a dark-colored SUV driven by a third person who sped off northbound on Route 110. The victim spoke to us off camera and said while he is insured, he's not sure if theft at a coin show is covered.
I think it's very sad that it's come to a situation that people do things like that. And hopefully they'll get what they deserve.
Now, the coin show operator says they'll be adding more security in the future. And while police look for the suspects in that coin heist, area coin dealers, they're re-examining their own security procedures at numismatic assets in Melville, just a few miles away from there, where this coin theft took place. The owner told us that security at shows is always paramount. He says he's been going to the Melville coin show, but usually only goes to larger ones where there's more security.
You always have to worry because you can be robbed on the way in, on the way out. But as far as when you set up at one of these trade shows, they usually have police there 24/7 in the convention center.
Now, the Melville coin show operator says there will be more security at its next event, which is in 2 weeks.
Dramatic video from the Long Beach Coin Stamps and Collectibles Expo as an employee from Stax Bowers uses his cell phone to record the moment the suspect attempts to flee after being stopped by the show's security guards. The coin dealer at the show notified security that he thought the individuals were in possession of stolen coins. The man made an attempt to get away from the officer but was brought down by former New York City Police homicide detective Patrick Coward, who now serves as a security officer for Positive Protection, Inc. Another man, not in the video, was arrested without incident. The two men had brought a reported $300,000 worth of rare coins that were believed to have been stolen earlier in a robbery in San Bernardino, California. The next day, 2 additional suspects were arrested when they arrived at the convention center to retrieve the suspect's car. An investigation is ongoing.
Amazing stuff. I mean, literally, when I was just trying to get some information, because it kind of leads me into the first question for you, right? Is this such a big topic? Does this happen often? Is this something
Charlie,
people should be worried with?
It happens at every show. It happens on the way to every show. It happens at every show. And it happens leaving nearly every single show. So now you're most vulnerable on your way to the show and when you're leaving the show. And leaving the show is probably the time that if there's a percentage, I bet you that's the highest percentage of when the crime takes place. That's for a total robbery where they get all of your stuff. Now, there are sleight of hand guys who are really good looking through your coins and can take maybe an individual coin or two. And with me, I lose one coin. It could be $50,000. 25, 50, 100,000 in a single coin. So yeah, I don't even want to lose just one PCGS or NGC slabbed coin. And there are all sorts of ways that these guys will steal that one coin from you when you're not really paying attention.
Yeah, Gibbons makes a good note.
The answer is to pay attention, stay really hyper alert, and have somebody else with you if you can, to have an extra set of eyes on someone. At shows, what I do is I only show 1 or 2 coins at a time to an individual, not 10 or 20, so that they can't grab 1 or 2 or hand me back less than I handed them.
Oh, Gibby made a good point. When the world of security, because that's kind of a space that I live in. When we talk about security, a lot of times people think it's the big muscle-bound guy that is so friggin' big he can't even scratch his own back or wipe his own butt. But today's thieves are quick. They are really not looking to stick a gun in your face and rob you. They want less interaction. They want to be quick, stealthy, get in and get out. So
Yeah, that's absolutely the truth. They don't want to interact. They don't want to create a scene. They'd really steal from you stealthily, where you don't even know you were robbed until after the fact.
A couple of people were asking how could they find you. I'll post all that information again. It'll be in the description, but on Instagram, Long Island Coin. Another question that came up is how many coin shows do you attend or do you sell at each year? So I know kind of depends, but depends on what's going on,
I
right?
attend all the big shows: the American Numismatic Association show, the Florida United Numismatist show, the Baltimore shows. And those shows are real big. They last several days, and they have plenty of security at the show. But I also attend regional shows and local shows. And candidly, I'm doing 40 shows a year probably.
Now, do most of these shows have like hundreds of people? Are there thousands of people? How big do these things get?
Like the show today, or that Melville show, typically has about 200 customers come through the door, which is a really small show. When you go to the fun show, you can have 10,000 people attend over the 3 or 4 days that the show is going on.
People ask me in my space when we do a large event for anything that deals with public assembly, where we're getting hundreds upon hundreds. They kind of always ask about the bottlenecks. Obviously the point of entry where people come in. How are you screening people? Metal detectors really don't make sense in this kind of environment because you're coming in with tons of precious metals. But are there checks that are done for weapons at these events?
No, not at all. A lot of the dealers are carrying, so you can't really check for weapons at a lot of these venues. Mm-hmm. At some venues, they take photo ID. Some venues, they don't. At Melville now, they started asking you for your name and phone number, which you can put down anybody's name and phone number on the piece of paper. It's pretty much anonymous who's coming and going at these shows.
And I think that's just the world that we live in, especially with precious metals and bullion, where people want to be anonymous, both buyers and sellers. They don't want the government to get involved or know those sales. That which can lead to some problems. What are some things that dealers can prepare for when attending a show? Like if you were to give some tips for a dealer getting ready, maybe it's their first time going to a show.
Well, there's a couple of things you can do. And let's start about talking about a small show, because most guys don't go to a major show their first show. They may attend a small show like that Melville show. One of the first things I like to do when I travel hot, and that's the term I use, when I have goods with me, I'm traveling hot. Before I have coins in my car, I want to make sure I have a full tank of gas. I don't want to stop at a gas station while I'm traveling hot. I want to make sure I've got a full tank of gas. Now, on an extended trip, I have to get gas while I'm heading to or from a show. Sure, I'll stop, but I always try to make sure my vehicle is ready. I check my tires, check all the things that are necessary on my vehicle to make sure I can eliminate any problems that my vehicle causes me to stop. When I'm traveling to one of these local shows, I really like to have somebody either with me or somebody meet me at the show when I show up. So if I'm pulling into that parking lot where there's a coin show going on, I'm phoning ahead, talking to my friends so that they can meet me when I get there to help me unload. Because as soon as I get out of my car, I'm vulnerable. I'm now a target. And speaking of that, now is a good time to bring up situational awareness. We all do something every day, and most of us we kind of take it for granted, in that we do the same 4 things over and over and over in a repetitive cycle, and it's called the OODA loop, OODA. We observe, we orient ourselves, we decide what we're going to do, and we act. And we constantly do that. We observe, we orient ourselves, we decide whether we're going to go into a place, leave the place, we decide what we're going to say, and then we act. When you are doing that loop over and over and you maintain a conscious thought about it, when I get out of my car or even before I get out, I'm observing the parking lot. I'm scanning for threats. When I get out, again, I'm scanning for threats. I go to the back of my car to get my coins out. I'm constantly scanning for threats. I'm constantly observing, orienting myself, deciding what I'm going to do, and then acting. And when you have that situational awareness where you're focused on it, you become a harder target. It's a lot easier to get the guy that's the weak guy in the pack, because you're not going to stop coin show thefts. You and I having this interview today is not going to stop the next robbery at a coin show. Our goal is to make sure that it's not us who gets robbed. And we just have to make sure that we're not the slowest antelope in the herd. You know, we have to make sure that we're not the softest target. And by maintaining really good situational awareness, it makes it a lot harder to be the victim. The other thing, I have like threat con levels in the back of my mind constantly, and we call them Cooper's colors: white, yellow, orange, red, and black. When I'm driving to or from a coin show or at a coin show, I'm in condition orange, ready to go to condition red. I'm ready to engage that threat. And by maintaining those condition levels in my mind and that hyper state of being alert, I'm that much harder of a target. And that's really what I want to do. I make sure that I have the food that I want on that trip before I'm traveling hot. So I'll stop at a deli or a bagel store before I pick up inventory. And when I leave that show, I never abandon those coins. If I'm leaving the show and I'm on my way to that show and I have to stop somewhere, my coins are coming out of the vehicle and they're coming with me. If I'm driving down to the Baltimore Coin Show and I have to use a rest stop, I'm not leaving my coins in my car unless I'm traveling with another person, where they can stay in the vehicle and watch those valuables. If I'm going in, I'm traveling with that backpack on my back full of coins or my luggage full of coins.
You bring up a really good point too, especially with your products, depending on what you're taking. You know, at a show, it's going to be a sleight of hand. You know, if you have like a gold gram and an assay or something like that, you know, guys are just going to try to distract you, make you look the other way while they just kind of, you know, palm it and put it in their pocket. But vehicles, you think about how many times a person may stop on their day-to-day, you know, going to get their coffee at the 7-Eleven or Wawa's, or, you know, they just got to make a quick pit stop to go to the bathroom, or they run into a McDonald's. You know, those are all transitional places where it is very easy to get robbed in a matter of minutes.
Yeah, and that's when you become a target, when you're focused on getting that food because you're hungry, or you're focused on running in to get that cup of coffee. If you're going to stop for food, use a drive-through. If you're by yourself and you can't take your coins in with you, just use the drive-through.
I know, you know, we're probably going to say this a lot, and a lot of it, you know, may be common sense, but that situational awareness, you got to pay attention to where you're going. Check the actual route. You know, a lot of people I know, they just love to throw it in the GPS the minute they're ready to go. Do a pre-check. You know, how long is it going to take me from get to point A to point B in the show? How many stops do I have to make? What about flying?
Well, if I'm flying, I'm usually getting dropped off at an airport, or I'll use a trusted transportation mode to an airport, a limo company that I've used before in business, or typically I'll get a family member to take me to an airport. And the same thing, when you're at an airport, you have to remain hyper vigilant. It's very easy to be distracted and be separated from your bags. And I travel with my coins on the airplane. They stay with me. I'll check my clothes, but my coins are in it. They go in a carry-on. And there's been many times they say, "Oh, we have to gate check this bag. We have to put it in the belly of the plane." I can't do it. I just can't get on the plane because that bag may not be there when it gets back.
So that's actually a good point that you make too. The less people know about your items, the better. Especially when you have to go with TSA and you have 20 people patting you down, asking you
Well,
questions.
when you're going through TSA and you're going to get checked, I ask for a private check, and they wheel my bag into a private room. I follow them in that private room, and I have them go through my bag. Now, I have been through TSA, and I don't believe they did it on purpose, but I had 4 boxes of coins. They go through my bag, they repack it. The next thing I know, I get home, I only had 3 boxes of coins. And the TSA, thank God the Tampa Airport Police found my missing box of coins in the personal gym bag of a TSA guy. But I did get my box of coins back.
I not me personally, but I have heard stories from friends who have they like to collect the silver ammunition, the bullets, the rounds, the 2 ounces.
Sure. They'll confiscate those, TSA.
Yeah,
they'll take those.
Poor guy was out a couple of $1,000s, went to a show, purchased them, was trying to come back to New York, and they confiscated it. So, he had a great time at the show, horrible experience coming back, and lost all of the items getting confiscated at TSA.
Yeah, you can't travel with TSA through the airport. Anything that resembles a gun or resembles a bullet, they won't let you on the plane with it. Not at all. You just ship that stuff back. At the bigger shows that you go to, there is usually a post office or FedEx set up at the show where you can mail your stuff back to you yourself, so that you get home and you're not traveling with your coins and they come back. And I use private insurance. I know, Charlie, you wanted to ask about insurance, and maybe that's a good time to bring this up now. I do have travel insurance. I'm covered for coins that are on my premise. I'm covered for coins that are with my person when I go to a coin show, and I'm covered for shipping through the mail. My insurance company is Lloyd's of London, and there are many different brokers that can help you get coin insurance if you're traveling often enough, or you feel that you need insurance on the coins that you have.
Yeah, I wanted to do this, obviously, kind of the community base, trying to look out for the community, but then kind of separating this a little bit. There's going to be some tips for dealers, guys who are at the shows, and someone like yourself who has been doing this for years. It's your business. You kind of have a lot of these, checks and balances in place. There's a lot of younger stackers or new stackers who want to become dealers. They see it as a good business model, who may not have that knowledge as well. And I also wanted to kind of break off and kind of look out for some of the customers who, like me, might be their first time going to a show as well. So insurance was a really big thing as well. And you got to make sure you get the right policy. When we talk about shipping items, sometimes that doesn't always get covered in the postal service.
Yeah, you have to have private insurance for shipping.
Totally separate.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I got to tell you a little quick story. I was out at a show. I go down to the Fun Show down in Florida, in Orlando, and I meet up with a customer there, and I'm having dinner with him before the show starts. Me and my friend are having dinner with a customer, and I've got my bag of coins with me. My coin dealer friend has his bag of coins with him. And we asked my friend, this customer, Tony, we said, "Hey, Tony, where are your coins?" And he said, "Oh, don't worry. They're safe. They're up in my hotel room. I put them in the bathroom, in the shower, in the tub, and I closed the shower curtain. No one will know they're there." Needless to say, we raced up to his room, got his bag of coins, which had probably $1 million in it. And these hotel rooms, when you're in a hotel room, these rooms are not secure. Any of the employees of that hotel can come in that room anytime that they want. Not only can they come in there while you're there, they can come in your room when you're not there. And those little hotel room safes that you think are secure, they're not. There's a combination, a master combination that can open every single one of them, and the hotel employees all know it. So don't leave anything in your hotel room safe. Don't leave any valuables in your hotel room. The truth is, try not to bring any valuables even back to your hotel room. Before the coin shows even start, most shows have a security room that you can leave your coins there where they will be protected so that you can go back to your hotel room. But if you have to go back to your hotel room and you have valuables, maybe you get into town the night before, maybe you're traveling with valuables. Couple of things to do in your hotel room. Always have a flashlight with you. Always keep food and water with you. You get thirsty at 10 o'clock at night and you want to run down to the lobby to get a bottle of water and you don't take your coins with you, they may not be back when you get back up to the room. When I'm in a hotel room, I carry one of those little triangle wedges and I stick it underneath the front door and I keep one for the side door in case there's an adjacent room. I don't want anybody coming into that room unless I invite them in or allow them in, especially the hotel employees.
You know, it's funny because in my day job, you know, we would do inspections and we would do, you know, penetration tests, try to get past security, try to get to hotel rooms and office buildings as well. A lot of times, you know, we would just go in fancy suit and tie, you know, hey, I forgot my access card. Can you let me in? And a lot of times the clerks at the front desk will say, well, you know, I can't. You know, you kind of schmooze them a little bit. And then all of a sudden, you know, hey, you know what? Let me get security. And then security would actually walk and escort us to the rooms, open the door, and then leave. So you got to really check and challenge. And, you know, especially with hotel rooms, you know, a lot of us, we don't put family members' names in the rooms. We go up somewhere. Hey, I'm trying to get into the room. I'm so-and-so's husband. I'm so-and-so's wife. Trying to get into the room. And a lot of the times, they will let you into the room if you press hard enough.
Yeah, it's easy to get past security. I used to do it for a kick when I was at the Hyatt in downtown Long Beach for the show. The elevators there, and any coin dealer who's ever been at that hotel knows the elevators are really slow. But if you walk past the elevators and you turn and you go into the room that says employees only through the double set of doors, you can get right to the service elevator and get right up to the floor you want really quick. And if I can do that and walk right past hotel employees and they don't know that I don't work there, you know, anybody can do it.
You know, one of the questions that came up, this actually came from someone in the Instagram community, just like within the network of dealers. Do shows and venues go over any fire safety plans or security plans prior to opening the doors at like those big events like the Fun Show?
I have never seen anything gone over in the past, but I always look at the floor plan to see where my table is at a show. And when I go into any room or any building, I can go into, you know, Charlie Mac's diner. I'm going to look to where the emergency exits are as soon as I walk in. Like as soon as I walk in Charlie Mac's diner, I'm doing my OODA loop. I'm observing, I'm orienting, I'm deciding, and I'm acting. I'm going to decide where I want to sit in your restaurant. I'm going to look to see where the emergency doors are. And if I'm traveling with the group and something happens, there's an emergency and we all have to leave right away, we know where we're going to meet outside. We're going to meet at 12 o'clock out of that premise. If we can't meet at 12 o'clock, we'll meet at 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, respectively. But we have an after action plan if for some reason an emergency comes up and we do have to quickly get out of there. And you know, we're just grabbing our own coins if we have those valuables. And maybe I'm with my family. You know, I can care less about my coins, but maybe I'm with one of my kids. I want to make sure that I get them and get them to safety.
You know, I think about just shows in general. You go to a concert, maybe at the Coliseum, maybe you're hanging out at the Garden. You know, you have a lot of people together and it's a very brief moment. You know, here's your exit. Something happens, you're kind of on your own. So it's behooves you. Got to figure it out for yourself.
Have a flashlight with you.
You know,
especially in a hotel room. I've been in a hotel room on the 13th, 15th floor, and the power goes out, the water goes out, and you have to get out of that hotel. And then sure, they have emergency lights, but it's sure nice to have your own flashlight to light your way up.
Spectacular actually has a really good question. What's up, Speg? What kind of weapon do you pack at a show? Right? That's one of those things, man.
My
Don't worry
mind.
about it. Don't worry about it.
My mind. In New York, it's really tough to get a carry permit. Most people outside of New York, most dealers that I know do carry. They carry in their shop, and they carry when they're traveling hot with coins.
I love, Spectacular, one of my favorite YouTubers. Love watching his channel. I always say, Spectacular, don't worry. If someone gets out of line, slap him right in the throat. What about the largest shows?
Hot dog.
You were telling me a little bit about the fun show where there's like tens of thousands of people there.
Well, you get about 10,000 over three or 4 days. You might have 2,000 in the room at any one time, maybe 2,500. The coin industry, relatively speaking, like when we go down to the fun show in Orlando, the fun show, the coin show that takes place there is often around the same time as the Surf Expo. The coin show is pretty small compared to the Surf Expo, which will have 50,000 people attend, and we'll get maybe 8 to 10,000 people that attend over the same 5 days that the show is going on.
I think everybody's victim of doing this, but the people that go to the show on like the first day, as soon as the show is done and closed for the day, everybody loves putting their pictures online. Look what I bought, look what I got, look what I got, look what this guy has. What are the policies in regards to like filming at the shows? Like if someone was at a show, are they allowed to take pictures or video?
Now that has changed so much over the last 28 years ago. You couldn't have a camera in a coin show. When I started out, if anyone pulled out a camera to take a picture of another person or a coin, that was taboo. You can't do that today. Everybody today has a camera and a video camera, because that was the way that they would target you. They would literally take your picture at your table as a dealer, and they'd say, yeah, this is the guy we're going to hit tomorrow after the show. So yeah, there's no way to protect yourself today with cameras. Everybody's got a camera. I mean, God, you go to the typical shopping mall, there's 6,000 plus cameras there, and that's just the mall security system. Same thing with hotels. You're constantly on camera. You have to just assume that you're being filmed. You have to assume that you're being watched, and you have to assume you're being targeted. So just harden yourself as a target. If somebody's watching you and following you, find them first. Make eye contact with them. Find them first. Like, be on the hunt for the guy that's hunting you.
Absolutely. One of the other questions that came up, and this is someone from the Silver Degenerates Facebook group. They asked about insurance plans and show setups. Like, do they typically give you a list of things to meet their requirements for insurance, things that a dealer would need to do?
Now, most dealers, I know a lot of dealers who have no insurance, none whatsoever, or they're self-insured. The insurance isn't cheap. My policy costs me about $8,000 a year to protect myself and to protect my coins on premise at my shop and the stuff that's in my safety deposit box. But a lot of it is more for shipping.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's another thing to be mindful. At a show, you're pretty much selling to the person, in front of you. You're really not going to be shipping from a show to someone outside of the show, right?
No, I mean, I have done that. I have shipped directly from a show to a customer, but most of the time I take the product back to my office so my secretary can invoice everything properly. But there are times I've mailed stuff directly from a show to a customer.
Got it. I know, we were kind of talking about this a little bit offline before we get started, and definitely would love for you to tell, the story about, Steve that you mentioned to me earlier. But do most venues provide private armed guards, or do they work closely with law enforcement?
So it depends on the venue of the show. The little Melville show that I did today, there is now a single armed guard at the show. Prior to today, or last show was the first time they had a guard. Prior to that, they never had a guard. At the bigger shows, like the Baltimore Coin Show, they have, and we saw in that video, PPI, Positive Protection Inc. And they are at a lot of the big shows. They're at the Baltimore show. They're at the Long Beach show. And those shows also have the Baltimore Police Department and the Long Beach Police Department will have cruisers parked outside the show. And you'll see an official police presence at those shows in addition to private security.
You know, I've worked closely with a lot of security vendors, both as a contractor and a client, and it gets expensive very quickly. So a lot of times, you know, we do have to hire guards for these types of events. Sometimes we, you know, have to raise prices at shows. So sometimes, you know, security is there and they may not be visible to the public because we don't want them to be visible as well. We want them kind of like watching from the back, watching in. You know, you mentioned something to me earlier, which I wasn't aware of. You know, individuals have been killed, you know, in this world because of these things.
Yeah, there was right here in your town of Brooklyn, a good coin dealer friend of mine, one of my greatest friends. His name was Steve Halfon, Halfon, and he was leaving his coin shop on Kings Highway one afternoon. It was around 4:30 p.m. and he was the target of a vicious assault by at least 5 individuals who bludgeoned him and beat him to death with tire irons and dropped him off coincidentally about a block away from his house to die. And I believe they got 2 of those guys, but I don't think they ever caught all of them. And it was just a gang initiation. And that could have happened to him as a coin dealer or not, but it does help to stay situationally aware. Had he been a little bit more aware leaving his shop, he may have saw those individuals and may chose not to leave his shop right at that time. He may have looked outside and saw something suspicious. When I leave my shop every day, I'm looking outside. I'm scanning the parking lot. I'm watching on the cameras outside to make sure that my parking lot's clear, the all around my building, and there's nothing suspicious before I even leave.
You know, I'm not sure if you've seen this video. I didn't get a chance to cut it and edit it for the show. But a couple of days ago here in New York City, you see 2 guys with a sledgehammer literally just break through a jewelry store, pawn store's glass.
I saw that, the window in the middle of the day.
Middle of the day, broad daylight, no questions asked.
The gate was coming down, and one guy looked like he got caught in the gate. Hope he didn't get hurt. He may sue the shop owner.
He probably will. You know, they got off, I think, with like $26,000 or $28,000 in.
I didn't hear the after action report on that. I wasn't aware of what they actually got.
So just from the front showcase, it was either between $26,000 and $28,000. They got a couple of chains, they got some coins, a couple of gold bars, but they're getting brazen, folks. They are getting brazen. You know, it's a scary, scary world.
It is. There's a lot of times where you can be like in a dangerous situation like that where they're hitting you, but there are times where I've had friends get robbed and they don't know who even did it. One of my buddies went through airport security with his coins, made it all the way to the airport. He's leaving a show. He made it all the way to the airport. He gets through security and he hears an announcement that he's got an emergency phone call on the courtesy phone. And he was an older gentleman, and he got scared right away and ran to the nearest courtesy phone. But he didn't take his coins with him. He just left them there right at the end of the security gate. And when he got back, there was no phone call for him. And when he got back, someone took his coins. He was targeted, and he became complacent because he went and had to get this emergency phone call that wasn't really there. One of my friends leaving a coin show, hails a taxi cab, takes his big heavy bag of coins, puts it in the trunk of that taxi, closes the trunk, and the taxi cab just leaves him standing there in the hotel at the outside of the hotel lobby without his coins, and that cab is gone. So when I get into a cab, I try to get into the cab with my coins in the back seat. I'll put my luggage in the back of that trunk, but when I get in that cab, my coins are with me. and I'm getting in that cab. When I get in that cab, I'm snapping a picture of the guy's ID that's hanging on the back of the seat. I want to know whose cab I just drove in. And if I ask him to take me to a particular destination, I'm also going to put that destination in my GPS so I can follow along and make sure he's taking me to where I really want to go and not where he wants to take me. So all these little things that I do are just going to keep me maybe that much safer. Maybe I won't be the target. And that's all I'm hoping for.
You're right. You got to stay one step ahead, be smarter than the average bear. And, these things happen. You look at the news, these Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, they do it, folks. It happens. Another good question then that I actually thought about this, I'll give a little answer. I'd love your feedback as well. Do many people who attend these shows or even the promoters, do they talk about fire drills or active shooter drills at these shows now?
We haven't had any of that, but I do remember being in several shows where the fire alarm goes off and you have to exit the building. And at that point, for me, I just lock all my coins up inside my coin showcase. And once my showcases are locked and I'm at a venue and at a coin show with proper security, and I have to leave that show because the fire alarm's going off, my coins are insured at that point. So if they want to come in and steal my coins while there's a fire going on, there's not much I can do that. But I'll remain safe. I'm going to exit the building. But I do have insurance for that time period if that was to happen.
You hit it right on the head too, because I was a director of security for a large building on Madison Avenue. It was 50 stories. Had a couple of the big social media companies in there. We had a government agency, and they hosted large events. And we would do drills. We would have people just stand by, like, I'm not going until it's a confirmed fire. They're part of the warden teams. They have to stay. And that was something I was always concerned with, because I've seen this happen at Macy's, JCPenney, these big malls where you'd get a bunch of kids, they'd pull that fire alarm, and it's, all bets are off. Whatever you can grab, and you kind of run out. We've seen that over the past couple of years with the pandemic, especially in Times Square, Manhattan, Midtown Manhattan, where they're hitting up these really, really big stores for retail theft. With fires, folks, right? The stuff, you can get it replaced. You got to make sure that you get out there safely. Number one.
Exactly. You got to stay alive to play another day.
Your showcases, is it big glass cases, or are they quick, break them down and then you can take them with you?
Travel showcases that you can carry. They're small. And anyone can just pick up those showcases and run out with them. And at that Melville show, I used to tell the owner of that show, don't set me up. I don't want a table near any of the doors. And there were 4 doors, entrances and exits to the smallest coin show in the country. And I said to him, one day someone's just going to grab a showcase and run out to a waiting vehicle, and I don't want it to be me. And I talked to him about that I said that just this week. And he said to me, when you told me that, I thought you were crazy. I never thought it would happen, but it happened exactly like I warned him it would.
A lot of people are kind of saying the same sentiment. What's up, Spectacular? Good comments. Stacking NYC. Tommy, another really good friend.
Hey, Tommy, how are you?
A lot of people say, I want the table right in the middle, so if something happens, I can just kind of put, shots on target, center mass.
Well,
active shooter's a little different.
I also like to have my back up against the wall. I don't like to have another dealer set up behind me. You have a backup table, and you have your table, your show table, where your coins are on display. But then sometimes you have coins behind you. You got to watch the dealers that are set up next to you and behind you. It's not always the customers, not always the criminals who are stealing from you. There's been many cases where coin dealers themselves have been in trouble for stealing. And they'll often try to either get a key that will open your showcase when you're not at your table. These locks are not that sophisticated, and they're very, very easily gone into with another key. So you head out to the men's room, your cases are locked, you think you're secure, and then you come back and you find a coin missing because somebody else tampered with the locks, went into your showcase, and took a coin out. So you should even when you're not at your table yourself, have somebody there. I share tables with Long Island Silver and Costello's Coins and Bullion. I also share with Capstone Acquisitions at some of the larger shows. And there's hardly ever a time where both of us are away from the table at the same time. You know, we always try to keep somebody there watching.
You know, bring up a really good point. You know, use a buddy system. You know, even if you're just going to these events, it's always good to just kind of have a friend. You know, enjoy the hobby together. You know, if you're buying, if you're selling, go with a friend. Look out for each other. Keep an eye out. That situational awareness is key. One thing, you know, I'm a CPR instructor as well, so I love doing the CPR classes, the first aid classes. Do they provide any medical staff or triage? Do people
At
get
the
hurt?
big shows, yeah, at the big shows, there's usually a medical team. At these big convention centers, they're all set up and ready to handle stuff like that. I mean, I have seen coin dealers who are pass out, faint, whatever, and need medical assistance. And the medical, at the bigger shows, the medical teams are there really, really quick. At the smaller shows, you're often on your own. I travel with a bleed stop kit, a trauma kit, and a first aid kit. Now, my first aid kit has, you know, tweezers and Band-Aids, but my stop bleed kit with my tourniquet is always ready to go, you know, as a trauma kit. And you got to be ready.
You know, it's actually funny because Tommy, you know, said this before I had a chance to say it. You know, the average age of some of the dealers and even, you know, just the participants, they're a little bit older, right, at these shows?
Well, there's a lot of young kids, thank God. Instagram and other social media platforms, there's a lot of talented, really talented, and little firecrackers that are coming up in the coin business. And Charlie, I got to tell you, I'm so excited about some of these kids who are getting into the business today. They are the future of this industry, and there's quite a few of them. And I don't want to see any of them get hit. And these guys, you know, the younger you are, the less likely you are going to be a target. The guy who got followed home from the New Hampshire show 3 or 4 weeks ago was about 83 years old. And they followed him after he left that show for over 2.5 hours before they smashed the window on his truck when he stopped in to get some food, some takeout at a restaurant. Yeah, so when you're leaving a show, maybe go the wrong direction for an exit or two. Circle back around. Double check your mirrors constantly. I'll literally make I'll get off several wrong exits and make intentional wrong turns just to see if I'm being followed.
That's important too. You know, I would think, you know, at the shows, you know, a lot of the people may be older who set up there, so, you know, they might have heart conditions. You know, you might have a medical situation you got to run into. But even leaving the shows too, you make a really good point of, you know, being followed, being a target. And, you know, someone could just steal one silver eagle from you. That might have been, you know, the kid's money saving up all week just to buy that one piece. Or it could be, an ounce of gold.
Well,
really good
you
comments.
you are the most vulnerable when you're leaving the show. You're tired by then. You've been up early in the morning. You've been working all day, and your guard is down. You just want to get out of there. You want to go home. You want to eat some food. You want to take your shoes off. And that's when your guard goes down, your situational awareness drops, and that's when you become a target. We talk about security at these shows. Remember, the security, they stay at the show. They don't follow you home all the way home. So I have had friends, coin dealers, leave a show, and then they get robbed in their own driveway. It happens. Try not to take coins back to your house. If you're leaving a show, go to a secure location with your coins. Go back to your bank vault. I bring my coins directly to my safe in my shop. But I've had several coin dealer friends robbed right in their driveway. One of my coin dealer buddies, Bob from Bob's Coins, got robbed in his driveway, followed into his house. His wife was still in the driveway, in the car, calling the police while the bad guys were in the house beating his ass, telling him to open the main safe. So these guys are getting pretty brazen. You
know, I've seen, not really at the shows, but at shops, as well. This is happening as well, where people are being watched and followed to their homes because they kind of see that these guys fall into the same routines. They pick up their gold bars, or they pick up their monster boxes and they take them back home, or they're transporting them from home to the office. And you got to keep that wit above you.
It's really, really important. And that's at the end of all of this, stay alert, stay vigilant, and watch your six. Watch who's following you, watch who's walking behind you at these shows. When you leave a show, if you're wearing a show badge or a show tag as a dealer, take that off immediately. You don't want the guys on the outside to know that you could have coins on you, because you want to reduce every chance that you may be a target.
Got a couple of wise guys in the chat. I guess Gibby.
Yes, of course.
He's like, Chris has friends? What's going on with that?
Well, I pay them, of course.
Yeah. So helpful recommendations. You gave us a lot of really good tips. Some, just for the regular person going to the show, and for dealers. I appreciate you also dropping some knowledge, on the insurance carriers. I'm just going to plug their website information there. Collectibles Insurance website. Hughes, Gallagher's as well. Really, really good ones. Chris, man, I really appreciate you jumping in. Any other
Charlie,
crazy stories at these shows?
Me. Absolute pleasure to be on here with you. And if I can share my information and my knowledge about coins or coin show security, reach out to me. The number is 631-870-4221, or come visit me in my shop if you're on Long Island. But reach out to me, and I'll do all the best job I can to answer any questions.
I had a blast, man. And I know I told you, like, these usually go like 45 minutes. I can't believe we're already in 1 hour, man, and I'm ready to go like another one.
It only seemed like 15 minutes.
A lot of cool stuff, a lot of, crazy stories, man. I know that you were telling me some off the wall stuff, man. I try to keep it somewhat PG-13, not too crazy, but what are some other things that you've seen at these shows, man?
I've seen a lot of stuff, a lot of sleight of hand. I remember this one guy walked into a coin show and he was just wearing like a t-shirt and sweatpants with no pockets. And he goes over to this dealer's table and he's like, let me see these 3 coins. Let me see those 4 coins. Let me see these 2 coins. And he goes, okay, I'm going to buy these 2 coins. I got to go get my wallet. I don't have any pockets on me. And my coin dealer friend who was showing him these coins was missing a $5,000 coin. Wow, where did it go? This guy picks up a giant big gulp that he has next to him, picks up a big gulp, and in the bottom of that big gulp, I bet you that coin was in there. So you got to be really careful. The sleight of hand guys will steal something from you really, really quick too.
Spectacular makes a really good point too. Be the gray man, right? Don't be too flashy, but a lot of shows and a lot of businesses do this too. And I always try to tell people not to do this. To put down your full address and all of your information so you could win some kind of like door prize. Just putting all of your information out there, you don't know who's going to see it.
Yeah, that's true. And at that Melville show now, they have a list of names and phone numbers. A bad guy can just go up there and take his cell phone out and snap a picture of that whole list, and he's got a whole list of targets now. Yeah.
And, you think about that's kind of scary. A lot of these shows, you have people flying in from all over, but your local shows that you might deal with, from week to week or month to month, a lot of it's local. And these guys got nothing but time. Nothing but time.
Exactly it. They have all day long to think about how to get you, how to steal from you. When you're leaving a show, you're the most vulnerable. So when you're going out to your vehicle, you're getting into it, check your tires, check the sidewalls, make sure that they didn't, put any spikes or anything underneath your tires so that you back out over them and give yourself a flat 3 miles down the road.
Yeah, and then they'll be waiting to I'll help you. Meanwhile,
they're gonna, the guy helping you, he's gonna help you, all right.
Crack you right on the fucking head and take your stuff.
When I leave these shows, especially the local shows, I'm traveling with somebody else, or we'll also convoy. We'll have multiple cars that we're watching out for in case something does happen and something goes down.
Chris, man, first of all, I want to say thank you once again. I appreciate
Charlie, it
you
was
jumping
great.
in.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service, brother. I know that you're an
You
Army
too,
guy as
man.
well. Thank you.
Huh.
Hoorah! Folks, make sure you check out Chris. Go to Long Island. Check out his shows. Check out my other videos. Chris, man, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much again. We're going to be heading out now.
All right, Charlie, thanks. Have a great night, everybody.
Later,
Peace.
buddy.